adjust my angles a little bit here. Good to see everybody. Welcome to a beautiful Saturday afternoon tea time. Hope everybody has the ability to sit down for a little bit, have some tea. This is your message from the universe. If you are thinking about having some tea on this weekend, to be able to sit down and have it right now and be able to enjoy tea time with me and with everybody else. Thank you so much. Questions over here from Yajan Hormua says, Xian Hormua says, man, I just want to say how amazing where you are in your career and business. Thank you so much. I mean, you guys are the best. I'm here just to have tea with everybody and to be able to enjoy ourselves. Let me know if you can hear me. Somebody's saying it's a bit windy. Let me know if that's affecting the audio. Thank you so much. Very, very cool. Mad Boo says hello from Canada. Greetings to our friends from Canada. Sandiello says, hey, you're getting as it actually starts. This is the best time to get the live stream. If you've joined the live stream right now, you're here, right, for the best part, which is where we're going to be able to make tea together and enjoy ourselves. So, I'm Jesse. I'm a tea guy. Today on the tea table, we have Chunky Horse for the Year of the Horse. I did not have to be convinced too hard by people to put more Chunky Horse on the channel. I love my Chunky Horse. Saniela says, hey Jesse, just getting into Kung Fu Cha. Thank you so much for the culture and education. Appreciate it, man. Glad to be able to be your tea guy and help everybody out with their tea learning. Today, I want to get right into the tea. I'm going to be drinking this. This is a tea orange. This is one of the samples of the tea oranges that just launched on the site. We just launched a 5 tea orange sampler with 5 different tea oranges in it. And y'all might have been asking the question, why didn't I start doing videos on them? Because I haven't gotten mine yet. They were supposed to be here by Friday. They didn't make it by Friday. Today's Saturday. I don't know if they're coming today. Sunday there's no mail. So next week we'll be doing the tea oranges videos with all of the oranges. But for now I have samples of them, and so it just doesn't look as good on the camera to make a short video. After spending a year making my own tea oranges, I want them to be in our wrapping and everything like that. But for today with you guys, I can drink this. This is the Lapsang Souchong tea orange. Questions over here. People say, hi, I'm a horse and I need to get that chunky horse. Yay! Ordered the tea oranges sampler, should get it soon. Thank you so much, Blue Girl. I'm very, very happy that you're going to give them a try. And yes, you should get a chunky horse, especially if you're like me. I'm a horse as well. I'm 1990 baby. So this is my Bet Mingyan. They call it your zodiac year. So not only is it the year of the horse, but I am a horse. So if you're 12 years old, 24, 36, 48, 60, it's a very auspicious year for you, but you need to be careful because a lot of times they say that during your Bemingyan you'll have bad luck. And so the way to counteract the bad luck is to wear a lot of red, which is lucky, but this year it's the year of the fire horse, so you're not supposed to wear red because that would be too much fire. Boom. I don't know. No, don't make any stock purchases based off of this advice or whether you're supposed to be lucky or not. Just saying. We are going to be doing this. We're going to be having, this is a Lapsang Souchong tea orange. This is one of the ones when I started making my own tea orange line that I knew I wanted to try. I felt this was the perfect fit of a tea that some people have heard of, Lapsang Souchong, also known as Zhengshan Xiaozhong. Because of the smokedness of this tea. This tea is pine smoked, and so it's very smoky and very unique. Give you guys a little bit of a smell there. With the tea orange, you can see the tea inside the orange. Very, very cool. Love this. These tea oranges, by the way, they are traditionally from southern China. The areas where they grew the oranges in Xinhui in Guangdong province, the locals would put tea into the orange peels and mix them together. It's not a super traditional style, but it is a kind of more of a regional style. And I figured the smokiness of the Lapsang Souchong along with the citrus of the orange and of course this red tea, all very, very good. So that is what we're going to be making today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. If I miss your question, I apologize. Keep asking it, or maybe wait a little bit and ask it again. Cheers. Just starting out. Let that guy open up a little bit. Questions over here. Dave says, thank you for opening my mind to tea culture. Without you, I never would have known anything about it. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. It's always, the internet's a wild place. Like, you know, we can learn together. We can all, like, be able to share tea time together out on this Saturday. I love it. It's great. Over here, Andrew Gorski says, I think I'm a fire rabbit. Very good. Yeah, check your zodiac year. Learn your zodiac year. It's fun to know. People saying I love green tea. No green tea today, but we're going to be doing it. Maddie Noodle says, what's your opinion on Turkish tea? I actually just went to a birthday party of a friend of mine here in LA who is married to a Turkish woman. There are a lot of Turkish people there. They have a lot of Turkish tea. The Turkish tea tends to be what Chinese call red tea, what the Westerners call black tea. I find it to be a little bit like strong and bitter, but you know, I'm kind of biased towards the Chinese teas anyway. But to be fair, I've never really tried to seek out any high quality Turkish tea. Whatever I've been given, I've just been kind of like served at a restaurant in like a paper cup or whatever, or like, you know, it just kind of shows up in front of me. I haven't done any of the energy that I normally would to like be able to, you know, figure out a good tea. I haven't done any of that. So, cheers everybody. Love it. That smokiness, you can't smell it unfortunately, but the Lapsang Souchong smokiness I think goes really well with that citrus. Very, very cool. Questions over here. Blue Girl Deb says, been learning so much about tea from you. Thank you so much. Love to be able to be there. Question, is that a Victorian house on top of a building in the background? Oh, that's the this fancy hotel in downtown LA. That's actually my polling spot. So when I vote, I go to that building over there. It's like a fancy hotel on Pershing Square. But it looks kind of funny from this angle. It does kind of look like that. By the way, what I'm doing right now, this style of steeping is called gampao, or dry steeping. So if you notice a lot of my videos, I'm like pouring water everywhere. You don't do that with this style because the dry steeping tray has no drain and it has no tray in it. It's just like a piece of wood. And so in dry steeping, instead of pouring the water everywhere, you have a spill bowl with your tea pet in the spill bowl, and you can pour out over him, and he gets to have a little bath. Everybody wins. Just a different style of tea making. This is kind of more popular in Taiwan right now. And then for these tea oranges, I recommend once you get the first steep out of the way, pouring in slowly from the top as much as you can until the orange tips over, because I like getting the flavor of the tea and the orange both together, whereas if you kind of just dump the water in there, it goes all from the sides. The orange flavor comes out in the first steeps and then goes away, and then the tea flavor comes out in the later steeps, so you kind of like don't have them mixing as well. But I like it when they kind of mix together, and so that's what we're doing right here. Questions over here. How many glasses can one steep for? So this type of tea orange is probably going to do at least, I'd say like 8 to 10 steeps in this guy one. You can really do more or less. It depends on how, you know, how many, you know, how long do you steep it for? How much water do you use? There's no one right answer in terms of the number, but that's so good. Oh, it's so unique too, because one of the reasons I want to make my own is that nobody makes these flavors with it, and if they did make them on the open market, I'd be a little suspicious they were using bad quality tea. But because I'm doing them myself, I get to control the tea quality and the orange quality. So, cheers. There we go. Take a look here at the tea color. Very nice red tea color. The tea oranges, the color of the tea I found doesn't change that much because the orange is there. It's just the scent and the flavor. Cheers. Question from Bedkaz Khan says, Jesse brother, I want to try the tea oranges, but all the other tea you have shown in your video, but none of them have any option for shipping to my country. I'm sorry, we can ship almost anywhere. We can't ship to Mexico right now because of their customs. We can't ship to, we're having troubles with Australia, but I think we can still ship to there. So, I mean, I don't know where you're from. Go to the website, put your address in and see what options are available to you. I believe I can ship to you. Oh, unless you're in Russia. I don't think we can ship to Russia. Trying to think of where else can't do, so I don't know. There we go. The Lapsang orange cold brews really well too. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm interested to hear what people have been doing with our tea oranges. If you've received our tea oranges so far and you've already started drinking them, let me know in the comments what you think about them, because I have not gotten my, I know they just got sent out this week, so I'm not sure if anyone's got theirs yet or not. Very, very cool. Questions, RDJ says, what kind of tea are Chinese drinking every day? That's a great question, and the basic answer is whatever grows near them tends to be pretty popular. So if you're from Hangzhou, you drink a lot of Longjing green tea. If you're from the Wuyi Mountain area, you drink a lot of Wuyi Mountain red tea. If you're from Yunnan, you drink a lot of pu'er. That being said, there are some types that are popular all over the country. Tianguanyin oolong is popular everywhere. Just like Ximen red tea in general is just popular everywhere. And then there's certain types of flower teas that are kind of popular everywhere. Jasmine is popular everywhere. Chrysanthemum is popular in many places. So there we go. Somebody's asking if I know any gongfu houses in Portland. Unfortunately, I don't. I just I lived 10 years in China, and then when I moved back to the States, I started my own tea company. So I actually don't have really good knowledge of every city in America and where their gongfu houses are, if they have them. But I can ship to anywhere. So if you're in Oregon and you want good tea, you can go to my website, jesseseals.com. You can get good tea. If you're on TikTok Shop, you can order it on the TikTok Shop. And we can ship anywhere. And tea is like, I have great respect for the people putting together the gongfu houses, because it's difficult to run a gongfu tea house. But the quality of the tea itself, the tea is all grown in China, whether it's imported into Oregon or New Jersey or, the EU or wherever. It's all grown from somewhere else. And so really the question to ask when you're looking for tea is, can you find somebody who has the types of teas you like, and who's able to kind of help you through the journey of figuring out how to get started? Or if you already know what you want, you can ask them, do you have this? And if they have it, you can give it a try. And if you like it, then you know you got that guy that has the good stuff. That's how it works. Questions over here. Questions. Are there any other tea gardens in LA? So if you go to the Huntington Library and Gardens in San Marino, they have a beautiful Chinese garden. I don't know if I'd call it a tea garden per se. It's bigger than that. They've got a bonsai area. They've got, multiple seating stations, covered bridges, like all sorts of really beautiful stuff, rock formations. If you haven't been to the Huntington Gardens in San Marino and you're anywhere near the Los Angeles area, that's one of my favorite places in the city, which I had no idea existed before I showed up there. So thank you so much, Miss C, for viewing some of the products on the TikTok Shop. People saying it looks like Chicago. We're in Los Angeles. So this is Los Angeles. It's so pretty out here today. The mountains over there are covered in snow because we got a ton of rain last night. Not last night, like this weekend. Last weekend. And really pretty out here. And it's actually not that cold out, but there is a little bit of wind, so I put on the hoodie. Cheers. I'm getting a leaf in the cup. Questions over here. Huntington is gorgeous. Excellent. West side or east side? I'm in downtown, so I'm right in the middle. I guess technically, I'm sure the West Siders would say I'm on the east side already, but downtown is downtown. It looks like GTA because GTA was based off of downtown LA. Questions over here. Can you see the Hollywood Hills from where you're at? You actually can. If you go on the roof of my building, you can see the Hollywood sign. It's actually directly where you guys are pointing. If these buildings were not here, you'd be seeing the Hollywood sign, which is cool. Do I deliver to Illinois? Yes, I do. All the time. Illinois, Chicago, actually, and the Illinois area are some of the biggest customers. Which I guess it makes sense because, your winters are cold, good place for tea. Chicago is a good food scene too. So I think there's a lot of food people in Chicago, and they really want to have good quality stuff. It's really wild. I say it all the time. It's crazy. We got to the year 2026, and all the wealthiest countries in the world drink the worst tea. And I'm kind of like a conspiracy theorist on this, although I don't know how much of a conspiracy theory is. It's all out there. It's just when the British the British wanted tea, and so when they wanted to get tea and they couldn't trade for tea from China, they started, one, smuggling opium into China, but two, trying to figure out a way to smuggle the tea plant out of China. And it was successfully smuggled out by a guy named Robert Fortune, who was then later knighted, and he brought the tea plants to India and Kenya, or India and then later Sri Lanka, Kenya, all of the British colonies. And they planted the tea trees in the British colonies and started growing it there. But the questions on how the tea came to you never had anything to do about how to have a superior product. It was, all the questions were like, what makes the British colonialist tea farmers money? And if it makes them money, they did it. Why is, like, you know, why grind up all the leaves into like powder and then put them into tiny bags? Because if you have 100 farmers and you grind them all up into a blend, no one farmer has any leverage over you. So all of a sudden you reduce all of the laborers to this sort of like, you know, I'm paying this much for the tea. I don't care if it's better. I don't care if it's worse. I like, if it's good enough for my quality and it's at that price, I will buy it. Oh, it's grown on an ancient tree. Doesn't matter. One, there were no ancient trees because they were all brought over and planted by the colonialists. And two, they're like, hey, I spent extra energy on my tea. I really made it good. I just don't care. I don't want any leverage over our supply chain. And the result is everybody gets kind of like basic, generally pretty flat tea in the West. Nothing horrible, nothing good. And it's just like the industry kind of built around that. And now, you know, as a tea guy trying to start this out, I'm realizing it's like, you know, to import to the EU and UK, I need to do a pesticide test for 626 banned pesticides. And if I were importing from India, I wouldn't have to do anything because they don't want to make it hard on themselves. So anyway, I'm not here to turn this into a whole historical dialogue, but there's a reason why the tea is bad in the West, and it was mostly because very, very few kind of like colonialist farmers were benefiting from the way the tea was done, and we obviously do it differently. You know, we work directly with the tea farmers in China. You know, we buy it from them for cash. We put it into bags. We send it to you guys. Cheers. So, you know, I try to make it as tight as I can. So, yeah, the UK store is now open, but I do apologize for the fact that we never can get any tea into there. We have had such an enormous fight with the UK customs to try to get anything into the UK. I won't go over it on the stream because it'll make me angry, and I'm enjoying my tea time right now on the beautiful day. But we are still fighting to get stuff into the UK, and it's taking forever. And I just can't do it. But cheers. Questions over here. Just order the tea resins. Enjoy. Going over here. Bro, purple is LGBT. Is it? I don't know. I'm straight, but my family is gay. So I have 2 gay dads. So I'm kind of like ally by blood or something like that. Questions over here. What are we drinking today? We are drinking the Lapsang Souchong tea orange. You can see here it's an orange. So we made these ourselves. These just launched on the website this week. 5 tea orange sampler, and then each of the 5 flavors also have their own individual boxes. So the way these work is that the oranges are grown in Xinhui, China, and it's a special type of orange that has, I believe, 23 volatile compounds in it, like scent compounds. And so when you grow the orange, they're grown specifically because the peel is very fragrant. They take the orange at about that size, you can see over there. They pick them when they're unripe, but they still have a lot of fragrance in the peel. They scoop out the meat of the orange, or the flesh, and then they dry them, and then the tea is added in. And so, like, basically, it's really, really good. It's like the best way you can do this sort of orange thing. It's significantly better, I think, than just sort of like orange peel. Because again, it's grown from that special region with a special type of orange, and processed in that special ways. So very, very cool. I think, and don't quote me on these specific numbers, but I remember Diego, who's our orange guy, who's been doing, family's been doing tea oranges for 3 generations. I think they said 23 23-cent compounds in these oranges, and like the normal like Florida orange has 7. So it's like it has a lot of really great fragrance to it that's unique. Very good. Anjanette D says, "Family for the win. Finish your book super fast. Thank you for recording it. It was super compelling. Do you think you'll ever write another book?" If you guys want to read my book, well, let me get my book. I should have had it ready. This is my book. This was Funnier in China, about my many years doing Chinese comedy in China. I apprenticed to a master comedian for 9 years, or 7 years. I wrote a book about it that was just recently published by Avid Reader Press, Simon and Schuster. It came out on the 10th, so like 10 days ago. It's right out there. Enjoy. Becky says she bought the book. Thank you so much. Reading it through the Chinese New Year holiday. Perfect timing. And then I also have an audiobook. So if you want to hear me read this entire book, I read the whole book over 3 days. And I think the audiobook is actually really good. Like people have, I know it's like, of course you're going to think your own audiobook is good, but I actually think I did a good job of reading it compared to, say some of the, I know that they get a lot, the audiobook guys are like, yeah, they get a lot of people that just kind of read the book, but I kind of want to put on a show. So it's a little bit more of like a verbal performance of the book in some ways than just a reading of the book. So cheers. Questions from Sammy Bauer says, "Is the Lapsang Souchong in the tea orange smoked?" So this has a story behind it. I originally started working on these Lapsang Souchong tea oranges because I wanted the smoky flavor to mix with the citrus. And the ones that are in the United States and in Canada are smoked. But then, halfway through the process, when we were doing our testing for the EU and UK, we found that the some sort of compound in the smoke was listed under the EU as dangerous, which doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't actually think that there was any dangerous compound in there, but we're a small business, and even just paying for all of these pesticides tests and heavy metals tests, when by the way, like, I'd be shocked if other people on the internet that are selling stuff on Amazon are doing this, but that's a separate thing. But even one failed test for us, we don't have the money to like investigate why it failed. So instead we just went with the non-smoked Lapsang for the EU and UK. So unfortunately, I just don't have the time and money to figure out the regulations, and they passed all the FDA testing, they passed the Canadian health tests, everything passed. There's nothing bad in them, but I don't know the European regulations or why this one random thing triggered on the EU test when it didn't on the Western test or on the US test, and it's just like, anyway. So anything, if you buy them in the America and Canada markets, they will be smoked, and if you buy them in the EU and UK markets, they will not. The tea oranges should be arriving in the EU shortly, and the UK is still up in the air. It's difficult. Questions over here. Nick says, I understand not wanting to recommend a different company other than yours, but in that case, just say no comment. I don't know what the question was. But generally, no. Unfortunately, the way the internet works is, like, I do live streams for you. I wake up every day and make videos for you. I do all this stuff. I will never stop anybody from, like, you should try other people. You should try other tea suppliers. You should give it a try. But I can't spend all that time and energy and then give advertising to other people. Also, I really am not an expert in other tea companies in this country because I have my own tea, so I don't ever buy anyone else's tea. I'm not really a customer in that sense. If I'm buying tea, I'm usually buying tea in China. I try a lot of samples, but I don't like, I don't really go to that many other, I don't go anywhere for my tea in America. I already have it when I come here. So if I say, hey, this tea is good, everybody's going to take that as a big endorsement. Whereas, like, I have not done the research. And one of the good things about doing my own tea is that I sourced it myself. I know the farmers. I know where it's coming from. I know all this stuff. So when I say it, I actually have, like, some reason to believe what I'm saying. But if somebody says, hey, this is where it's from, and then I recommend them, people are going to believe me that they're telling the truth. But I don't know if they're telling the truth because I don't know them and I haven't done their sourcing. So this is like, it's more of just a you know, I don't want to give anybody bad impressions, but also you'll always notice I never diss any other tea companies on here. I never say anyone's bad. I am very much in the, I like, as a tea guy, I would never do that. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I think it's like bad behavior for tea people to like hate on other tea people. And like, especially now in the world that we're in right now, we need people to know about the good tea. We're not at the point yet where we should be fighting each other within the tea scene, in my opinion. Anyway, just saying. Questions over here. Question, what should I do if an order comes and one of the teas is open and thrown loose in the box? If an order comes and one of the teas is open and thrown loose in the box, has happened to me twice. You're saying you've ordered one of our teas and the bag broke open during shipping? If that's the case, take a picture of the broken open bag and email teafriendsupport@jessie'steahouse.com and we'll send you another one. That shouldn't be happening. It definitely shouldn't be happening twice. Let me know if it's a problem with our teas or what packaging it was, but that shouldn't be happening. All of the packaging that we have, I'll show you. This is an old one from a product we haven't sold in a while, but it was just near the cameras. All the packaging, we have, these are like, you know, those pinch tight things. The pinch, there's like the pinch closer, and then on top of it, we have this section which is heat sealed. So they go in, they have a press, and they go like, and they heat seal it. So there should be 2 layers stopping anything from leaking out. And we don't generally have that problem. And then you see when it comes time to actually drink it, you tear this open and that leaves just the one pinch seal at the bottom. So that's the way, you shouldn't have a problem with that. So sorry to hear if there is a problem. I'm gonna reheat the water. Okay. In the meanwhile, I have a whole bunch that I steeped over here. Great questions over here. Super Semi-Noob says, mate, just started watching the shorts. It's so cool and interesting. I think I'm going to get into tea. I love the ritual before even trying what I'm sure are amazing flavors. The ritual's half the fun. It's like, sit down, enjoy yourself, make your tea, do it mindfully. You know, there's a concept in Gong Fu tea, you know, you want to be a good host. What does it mean to be a good host? One of the things that it means is that you really try to proactively look out of what your guest likes, how you can make a great experience for your guest. Now here's the flip side. If you drink tea by yourself, you are the host and you are the guest. Treat yourself well in the way that you would treat a guest that came over. And this was like I know it sounds like a stupid thing, but this is like a big mentality break for me where like I would always be willing to kind of like go out and be really nice to other people, but then when it came to myself, I would not get the good stuff, or I would like, you know, I would rush through things, or I wouldn't sit down and do the whole kind of setup because I was like, well, it's just me. But if it's just you, even more reason to treat yourself as the guest. Cheers. And really kind of enjoy it. So, very good. Questions over here. I may have missed it, but he said something. Oliver English said, I may have missed it, but Jesse decided to author osmanthus in the shop. My favorite is out. Jesse's my go-to tea guy. Thank you. I'm working on the osmanthus. I got samples of herbal tea from the mountain that we work with in Guizhou. That's going to be in the August box. I know everything is like way down there, but like we're already packing the stuff for August for you guys because of how long this all takes. We're generally working about 6 months ahead of where we are in the shop. So I don't have the osmanthus on yet. I did get unbelievably good samples. The samples were kind of almost too good because they're wild osmanthus flowers and wild chrysanthemum flowers, and they're all picked by hand wild. So they have to like go into the fields and forage for them. And it's really, really good, but expensive because they're all wild. So I need to figure out whether I'm going to go with that stuff and just going to have to charge what it costs, or whether there's any way of bringing the price down somehow. And those flowers were mixed with different Chinese herbs that are used in traditional Chinese medicine. And the people we're working with, I'm putting together this new herbal line, herbal and flower tea, and the mountain. So I'm working with this organic tea farm mountain, and then we're both working with the Chinese Traditional Medicine University in Beijing to be able to put together blends that were put together by Chinese medicine doctors. Now that does not mean they're medicine, but it does mean that they are put together by the doctors and they contain the same ingredients of the medicinal quality. Is everybody? Are you all able to hear me because of the wind? I'm worried that people are not able to hear me because of the wind. Let me know if you can't hear me because of the wind. People saying no, can't hear me. Can't hear me because of the wind. This is my jam, herbal flower tea. Yes, you can hear me. Sounds good. They can't hear me. You're cut by over 50% because of the wind. Really? What do I do about that? Only one of the phones is saying I have trouble, so can hear you with headphones. Interesting. Let me see if I have a little clip mic. Hold on one minute. I don't know if this is going to work, but I don't have 3 mics is the problem, but I do have 1 mic. And so if there's only one phone with a problem, then I can try to do this. Okay. Wait, can you hear me? Hello? Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? And we'll see if that does it any better. Better. It worked. Awesome. There we go. See, I listen to you guys. I thank you for dealing with all that wind. It's too nice of a day to be inside. That's really the problem. It's probably not the best for my live streaming career, but that I just can't be indoors on a day like this. Super cool. Questions. By the way, thank you all again for listening and for those who support the tea house by buying the tea. Thank you so much. That what makes this whole thing work. I get to make all my tea videos, teach you guys about tea, go out and source good teas, and it all works because you guys like the videos, and most importantly, if you guys go to the shop, jessechouse.com, buy some tea. Cheers. More questions. People say we can enjoy the outdoors and the wind with you. That's the fun stuff. I was thinking of maybe taking a motorcycle ride into the mountains today and doing some tea in the mountains, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have the time because I have other obligations later in the day, and that's kind of not quite an all-day thing, but it's like you get all the way up there, you want to stay a little longer. There we go. Cheers over here. People saying, am I in Chicago? No, I'm in Los Angeles. So this is LA over here. What's your favorite dance hall? Favorite dance hall? I don't know. I don't know. I think there's what do they call it? Shui Xian. There's a Shui Xian dance hall I really like, but I tend to find that like the dance halls are all a little bit unique, and even 2 dance halls of the same name, I kind of find that they taste a little bit different. And then all of the dance halls taste generally similar because they're all the same type of tea. So I don't really feel too much about I kind of take each dance hall as its own thing, and just roll with like this specific tea leaf that I have right here if I drink dance hall. Questions over here. Why did I move back to the USA? That's a great question. So for people who don't know, I lived in China for 9 years, close to 10 years. And I took a 9-day trip back to America for what I thought would be a 9-day trip for Chinese New Year in January of 2020. And I left when COVID had not hit, and COVID hit in midair. So I landed to find out that the virus is real, and my flight back was canceled, my visa back was canceled. I had to close my comedy club that I was running in China. I lost my apartment, I lost all my stuff, and my life was now different. And I lived in America again. And so I basically just had to rebuild my life and start, I wouldn't say from scratch, but like, I spent almost 10 years there. So to lose all the network and, my job was doing Chinese comedy, and I had a big following in China doing Chinese comedy. Can't make a living doing Chinese comedy in America during a pandemic when you can't go outside. So Basically, I didn't choose to move back, but I think it was a useful lesson in the sense of like, I'm not Chinese, I'm not a Chinese citizen. It's not an immigrant country. It is. It's a place where it's difficult to live forever in terms of staying year after year after year, and so it was an opportunity to try to readjust to life in America. And so now 5 years in, I feel a lot better about it because I built up this tea thing. I have a following, you guys that follow me and listen to my tea, and some people buy the tea. That allows me to make a living over here in America and be able to go back and forth to China. And so it was definitely a journey to get to here. But I'm glad now that I have a foot in both sides of the Pacific, because I feel like I can go back to China, enjoy myself, see my friends, go to the tea mountains, find really good tea for you, and I can come back home, see my family, and even though America is kind of in a rapidly deteriorating situation right now, it's still, this is my home. I mean, I gotta be here. I gotta find a way to be a part of trying to make things better, and I take that very seriously. So I'm glad to be part of the tea community here in the States. So questions over here. Could you please recommend a tea similar to Kusmi Lovely Night, rooibos, honey with spices, pear? I don't know, because if it's herbal, all of those herbs are not drunk in China. So I doubt you're going to find a Chinese tea that is similar to that. There are Chinese herbal teas, but they tend to be kind of more from a traditional Chinese medicine background or like local folk backgrounds. And I'm not really an expert in those because I sell mostly tea leaf tea. And so I actually am not as knowledgeable on the herbal tea as some people might think. There are very specific types of herbal tea, or even something like what we're drinking right now, this tea orange, which is, again, the tea inside of a orange peel. Even this is considered relatively non-traditional in China because it's not straight up tea leaf. In China, the tea people tend to try to get really good tea leaf and drink it straight without adding anything in. Usually no peels, no oils, no flavorings. And the purpose to that is to be able to have show that you have really good quality tea. It should kind of shine by itself. That's the idea behind a lot of the Chinese tea scene. So unfortunately, no, I don't have a great recommendation for you. Questions over here. Repeat question. When the Gongfu tea sampler will be back in Canada? We checked on this last meeting. I don't know. I know it's out of stock. We know it's the top seller. It should not be out of stock for long. But then we looked and we saw that we didn't have another shipment going, and I don't know why. And I'm not sure if that's because our shipment data is messed up or we messed up our restock. So we're trying to keep it in stock in all places. But now that we have 4 warehouses, it's really difficult to figure out how much to buy and how much to send. Because the new warehouses are so new, we don't know how many people are going to get them. And but we are working on it, and we have the warehouse in Canada, we have the warehouse in the EU, we have the warehouse in the UK. None of you guys have to pay any of the American tariffs, whatever they are, because we import directly, and so the American customs are never involved in the process. I guess you kind of have to pay a little bit in the consideration that doing business in America is harder now, so our prices go up in America, which means that the prices of everything are going up in America, and so when that happens, it kind of floods into the whole company. But in general, you guys don't have to pay the tariffs if you're outside the U.S. But no, I don't know off the top of my head when we're getting new ones, and we're looking at that. But it is our goal to be able to have it ready. And the new subscription box did just drop in Canada. Tea oranges, tea orange samplers. We have a bunch of stuff still available in Canada. And so I hope you guys have been enjoying that. Questions over here. Voodoo Macbeth is spamming. I wish I had a mod. Kick them out. Zhang Hongbing, Bobby Zhang says, I'm Chinese. What part of China? I've been to areas dirtier and poorer. I don't know what's happening over here. Bobby Zhang, the traffic is bad. I have a train that takes me from Newport Beach to LA. I'm not sure. There's a conversation going on in the thing here that I don't know. Also, it's windy out here. I'm like crying, man. Questions. What are the differences between the styles of green teas? Not sure what I like. I mean, at a big stance, the Chinese ones are very different from the Japanese ones. That's the first thing I would say for green tea. The Chinese green teas are created by kind of like being dried in a series of different ovens and like hot woks, and then the Japanese ones are steamed. And I don't understand the Japanese process that much. All I know is that it yields this very rich umami flavor, but very few steeps, and it's much more intense and grassy and vegetal. And the green tea from China is kind of sweeter, mellower, milder, calmer, very fragrant. A lot of the green tea, the differences between one and another, a lot of people are looking for the differences in the fragrance. And then there are different tasting notes in different ones. Like for instance, some teas are really, as you said, like grassy, and some people like that taste, and some people don't. Some might have a little bit of like a good longjing. They say it has like a douxiang. Dou is soybean. It's like a douxiang. It's like soybean fragrance. It almost has a little bit of a soybean scent in there. Cheers. So I think those are the ones things you could look at. Somebody on TikTok is asking over here. Sorry, your name flew up, and so I can't see the name. Do you have goji berry chrysanthemum tea? I do. The current type of goji chrysanthemum that we have, what we tried to do with it was find the very highest ingredients we could. So the goji berries are ningxia goji berries, and the chrysanthemums are wuyuan chrysanthemums, the best type of chrysanthemum, not bitter, very sweet, very floral. And then we have these nice whole chrysanthemums that come in single-serve packets. Going forward, I think I'm going to try to make a change to that, though, because it creates a lot of waste. Having a box with 20 single-serve plastic packages in it, and in order to keep the wuyuan chrysanthemums whole, we have to put a plastic backing in there as well. So each single serving has 2 chrysanthemums and 7 goji berries, and they're all going to be kept flat, and they're against the backing, so they're not going to break. I think the quality is superior. I think the taste is excellent. The downside, though, is it creates a lot of waste in packaging, and I just kind of don't like that. And so I'm looking for figuring it out. Questions over here. Somebody said, any reactions to the recent change in the tariff law in America? So for those of you who are either not American or Americans that haven't been reading the tariff stories in the last 24 hours, yesterday the Supreme Court of the United States said that the IEPPA tariffs, which is the reciprocal tariffs, basically most of the tariffs that President Trump put into effect through executive order, were unconstitutional from the beginning, implying, but not saying for sure, that all the money that was raised by taxing people was probably illegally taxed. And so, on one hand, people are saying maybe they should start refunding everybody. On the other hand, President Trump said that he doesn't particularly care about what the court says, and is using different laws to now enforce I believe a 15% tariff on everything. And again, this is where my experience of living in China comes in handy, because in China I'm very used to a small number of very powerful people using ideology and then using the law, not so much by following the law, but saying, what is the law that justifies what I already wanted to do? And a lot of business in China is greatly affected by this. So as the ideology of the people at the top changed, the rules changed, not because the law was changed, like Congress didn't pass a law during any of this, but because the ideology is the thing that is running the problem. I don't expect any changes to the tariff situation, at least until the midterms, because I don't think that it's a really weird situation. Like, usually in America, the Conservative Party is against raising taxes. And there were many for years and years. There, it was funny, like, people in America in the Conservative Party here, the Republican Party, they signed, like, pledges to never raise the taxes. And there were major legislation that was blocked in previous periods of American politics because the Republican Party didn't want to raise taxes. And then the most enormous tax raise on everybody in the economy and the entire supply chain went through, and none of them said anything about it. And it's pretty crazy. And so for me as a business person, this is very unusual because generally the sort of like pro-business, pro-markets, pro-free markets, pro-small business party historically has been the Republican Party. But the Republican Party, the Trump policies are not really Republican policies, but the Republican Party doesn't seem to be opposing them. So it leaves me in a very weird political situation here where I basically have to do what I did when I lived in China, which is the question is not how do I create a better product, how do I market it better? The question is what is the ideology of the leadership and what do they want to have accomplished? And then you have to make a decision whether you want to go along with it or whether you want to oppose it. So for instance, an example that was going on in China right now. In previous eras of China, they really wanted to get everybody to speak English, and so they really encouraged companies to hire English teachers and bring over foreign English teachers and teach everybody English. But then the party decided that there was too much English teaching going on, and too many people were being able to read foreign news, and just generally they were losing control of the educational structure. So they banned all the English teachers. And so as a result, for the economy, this was really horrible because you had people spending 10 to 15 years building up English teaching companies, and then they were banned overnight. And so basically the ideology of the party, when it shifted, created this massive change in the business environment. And this is, in my opinion, one of the reasons why I don't like law being based off of ideology. It's better for the law to be based off of the law. If people have an ideology and they want to change the law, they should try to change the law. They shouldn't use the ideology to change the rules by which the law is then enforced. And that would create, as a small business person, just in my opinion, I can only say my own opinion as a citizen, I would rather live in a more stable country where if you have an ideology, which, people are going to think what they're going to think. I can't stop people from thinking things even if I don't agree with them. People are going to think what they're going to think. I think my own things, but the law should be the vehicle by which we get these ideas into reality. And so when you abandon that, it creates a very unstable environment. And I think I'm operating the company in America now a lot like I would be operating my company in China, which is to say, don't expect stability from the top. Expect that the change in ideology is going to lead to reactions that, both China and here now in the United States, the people at the top are willing to have regular people lose money, pay more money for their products, and generally disrupt the regular economy in order to maintain the ideology that is important to them. And whether that ideology, you think it's correct, you might think their ideology is great. But either way, there's no doubt that they're willing to have everybody else here now. Take damage in the meantime. And basically, my tea business and then the consumers of my country, our purchasing power is the leverage with which the president is negotiating whatever he's negotiating. And so this is frustrating to me as a business person because I don't like having my livelihood staked as leverage to accomplish a political task. I think that it's not good for the prosperity of the country, but it's, people could disagree about that. Somebody asked how I stand politically, and this is a tea channel, it's not a politics channel. But I think having grown up in the United States and then living for 10 years in China, which are both very interesting, dynamic, different economies. One thing that I take out of it is I generally like the sort of thing that allows regular people to go out into the world and make stuff. I like the idea that you could say, hey, I know the tea farmers in China. I want to buy it and sell it here in America, and I want to do that with as little interference as possible outside of health and safety regulations. I think the health and safety regulations are a good thing, and as much as I complain about how how difficult they are to pass in the EU. I would rather deal with difficulties because the health and safety standards are too high than deal with difficulties because we're in a trade war with the entire world at the same time. That's just my opinion. Questions over here. Those are passive costs to you anyway. Yeah, and the thing is, ultimately, like we have a tariff fee on the website right now that is adjusting for the increased tariff taxes, and it's harder for small businesses than a sales tax, because normally if they wanted to raise money, they could have a national sales tax or something like that, and if they wanted to do that, then I would only have to pay the tax when I make a sale. But right now I have to pay all the taxes on all my stuff the moment it hits the port, cash out the door. And this makes me not want to do business because I have to just I have to put a lot of money up front, pay all the taxes, and then you guys might not buy it, or they might reverse the tariffs, but I've already paid for the high tariff stuff. So the tariffs are very disruptive, and so I personally do not like them. Both as a business person, who obviously I'm going to dislike the tariffs because they hurt me, but also as a customer, I like the idea that I can get, if the Italian olive oil is better than the American olive oil, I should buy the Italian olive oil. And Americans make money in the importation and the warehousing and the marketing, and there are many ways in which Americans make money from Italian olive oil. It's very, I think, deliberately misleading to say that Americans don't make money from, say, Chinese tea being sold. I'm making money. I got American employees, healthcare, bonuses. My advertising team, we don't buy ads, but we make a lot of YouTube videos, and so I have people who help me do editing and posting. Most of my media team is here in America. So the real jobs that do exist are being leveraged for jobs that do not exist, or that might exist in the future. So anyway, not the point. Question, would blockchain help sourcing your tea and quality control? I'm not sure exactly how. And by the way, thank you, Deborah, for all the pizzas. I appreciate it. I love pizza. The one interesting thing about there was this big craze in NFTs, and everybody bought all these NFTs, and it was a big kind of bubble. But one thing that those things can do is there are rare teas where, for instance, one of the things that I was thinking of doing is to have in China what they call danju, single tree tea. And the idea behind this is you find one old tea tree, one 500-year-old tea tree, and you process that tree as its own batch. And you come up with very small portions, 1 kilogram, 2 kilograms of finished tea leaves. But that's a very high-end tea in China because every tree has its own personality based off of its specific root systems. And even if you have the tea from one farm that all gets blended together, it'll have the same flavor across all of those. You miss kind of the peaks and the valleys. And so one challenge that you have when you sell this type of tea is how do you prove we actually did all that work? Because in order to drink it, the high-end tea people might be able to tell the difference, but regular customers are not really going to be able to tell the difference whether it was a farm of ancient trees or one ancient tree. And having something like an NFT or a blockchain or some sort of basically scan this barcode and it will confirm there were only ever 20 cakes of tea made from that tree in this year, and we made 20 independent QR codes, basically NFTs. And you would be able to confirm that it is what it says it is. I think that would be very interesting technology. But unfortunately, the fact that 99% of the people involved in the NFT market were basically fraudsters made me not want to get anywhere near it. I just have too many good things going on in my life right now to get bogged into a thing like that. And also, I had other people approach me about collaborating on projects like this and charging enormous amounts of money. And I'm like, I just don't want to touch it. I'm enjoying my life too much to touch that shit and deal with it. I just don't want to do it. Questions over here. My brother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer from Mitch. I'm sorry to hear that. I started teaching him what I learned from you. Thank you. We have a tea session every day now. That's great. Are there any medicinal herbs or teas to recommend? First off, it's great you're having tea together. I'm very sorry about the diagnosis. I hope he's able to recover. I know that's a very difficult type of cancer. I don't want to recommend any herbs that will treat cancer. To my knowledge, the only good research I've seen about tea and cancer is that some teas have preventative effects, potentially. But if you already have cancer, I'm not sure if there's anything I can do. I think that you spending time having tea with him is the best treatment that you guys could have. Both my mom and my dad both had cancer and survived and beat cancer. And I think for them, just kind of keeping tied in with people, having the socialization, knowing that they're taken care of, having something to look forward to keep fighting, because it's fucking rough from what I've heard. I never want to wish that on anyone. So I hope that that is at least somewhat helpful for you. So in that sense, any tea that you guys are excited about drinking, I think would be good. I'm sorry to hear that, Mitch. Questions over here. What about tea to help with the side effects of treatment? Again, I really don't want to get in the business of referring to tea directly as medicine in the sense of the Western, take this pill, you're better. A lot of Chinese medicine is built off of preventative functions. The idea is that usually a Chinese medicine is taken not to treat a specific symptom, but in order to prevent worse symptoms coming in the future, or to prevent any symptoms from coming up at all. So that is the way to do it. M says, my father has cancer currently, about to get some nice green tea sesh to support this his system. Green tea is good for this, but again, make sure you keep taking your medicine, chemotherapy. I would never want anyone to miss a single day of a treatment because they're thinking their tea is going to save them. That's really what I'm worried about. There's not going to be any damage to people, and there may even be some benefits, but I don't want people not doing actual treatment because they believe that tea is going to save them. That's kind of what I think. Dart Evans says, any black tea you like similar to the English breakfast Earl Grey? Yes. This has a pretty direct answer. So I have a tea on my website called Chimen Red Tea. So what the West we call black tea, Chinese call red tea. So the red teas on my site are actually black teas as you would know them. And the Chimen, spelled Q-I-M-E-N, so you can search Jesse's Tea House, Q-I-M-E-N, Chimen. Qi like in Qigong, men, like it's a different qi, but like you can spell it the same in English, Q-I-M-E-N. That tea is the base tea that's used in those blends. And so the one I have on the website, it doesn't have like bergamot oil or any of that stuff in it, but it's going to be the highest quality tea of that type that you've probably had before. That's the one I recommend. And if you want to try other types as well, I have an 8-tea sampler, and that's in the 8-tea sampler, so you can try that while trying other teas if you want the other stuff. I put it in there because I knew that a lot of people would like that flavor, and so that's the way I'm doing it. Any future sourcing of red oolong? Yes, we are restocking our red oolongs. So I apologize for a lot of our Taiwanese teas have been out of stock for a long time, and the reason is because Taiwan, there's one packaging place in the entirety of Taiwan, and they just won't like take our orders. Like, we want to do customization, they don't want to do it. We want to do tins, they're like, nah, it's gonna take 6 weeks to make the tins. They won't do anything to help us, like, you know, for instance, a lot of the Chinese packaging people, if we buy, say, they say, hey, our minimum is 5,000, and we say, hey, we only need 3,000 right now, but I'll buy 5,000 if you're willing to store the extra 2,000 and then send it the next time we do the restock. And a lot of Chinese packaging places will do that for us, but the Taiwanese will not. So basically, we've had a hell of a time just operating in Taiwan because of the packaging situation. And eventually we had to give up. And so our next restock, we're going to be redesigning our Taiwan packaging and be purchasing it in the mainland and shipping it to Taiwan and then filling it in Taiwan. So the tea, which is the most important thing, is still going to be the really good red tea. We have red oolong from Luya. The Luya red oolong is very good. It's actually my surprise kind of favorite tea from that trip. But the but it's going to take a little while to get it going because we got the packaging and it has to be printed, and then it has to go to Taiwan, then it has to be filled, then it has to go on a boat. It'll be back in the summer. I'm kind of upset about how slow this whole process is, but it's just the work culture is very different in Taiwan versus the mainland. So, questions over here. That's unfortunate, but I appreciate it. Jesse, did you study dialectics in China? I don't think so. Not sure what that is. What you mean the like? I don't know what that is. What's your obsession with dialectics? I don't know what this guy. Oh, this is the spammer. We need to get that guy out. I wish I had a mod. I'm sorry, guys. Dart Evans just bought the mug and sampler. Said can't wait to try it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna give you Dart. I'm gonna give you a pour on Chonky Horse as thanks for your order. By the way, if you order anything on the live stream, tell me and I'll give Chonky Horse some tea for you. Very, very cool. Questions over here. We'll do one or two more questions, I think. Roland says, Jesse, who are the first customers and how do you find them? That's a great question. So I started, the first customers were on this TikTok channel that is on over here. I also have YouTube and Instagram running at the same time. So if I'm answering questions you don't hear in the chat, that's why. Basically what I did was I started just making a tea video every day. I started teaching people about tea. I engage with the comments, try to figure out what people want to learn when it comes to tea. And then I eventually was like, hey, you know, people in the comments were like, hey, we would buy this tea. And at the time, I knew the tea farmers, but I never like sold tea, imported tea, done anything like that. So I started an email list and I told everybody, hey, if you would be interested in getting tea from me, if I made a tea sampler, sign up for the email list. And then when it came time to actually do the tea sampler, I was like, I had an email list of people ready. I had a social media following. I think there were like 40,000 people following at that time, which sounds like a lot of people, but in the internet is actually not as many people as you'd like it to be. So by the time that I wanted to start the thing, I did a pre-order, and we wound up pre-ordering like 600 sampler boxes. So it was a pretty decent sized order. In fact, we wound up selling out of all of the tea before it even arrived. And so I wound up having to do a second pre-order for the second batch. And eventually we got my feet under myself. I felt the whole first time, it felt like, you know, Wile E. Coyote, you run off the cliff and you just got to keep the legs moving. Eventually we got the ground under our feet and generally are in stock of a lot of stuff. But if you follow the website, you know that we do go out of stock of stuff, and it's just a lot of this is very high-end tea. They don't make enormous amounts of it. Sometimes when we're out, we're just out. And then the other thing is that it's hard to figure out with the internet, you know, if I make a video and it doesn't go viral, it has this many views. If it goes viral, I might have 100 or 1,000 times more views than normal. And so we have all these big peaks that we don't expect, and it makes it very difficult to run social media, to run the company, because we don't know when we're going to get a traffic spike from social media. And so as a result, it just kind of like, we don't have great control over staying in stock of a lot of stuff. Thank you, Deborah, again for the roses, appreciate it. But yeah, that's part of the reason we're out of stock of stuff a lot of the time, is because we have like a boom on a video that we didn't expect. And if I expect every video to get a boom and I buy a ton of everything, then we blow all the money we make from the boom on holding inventory. And already I have more inventory than I want. I have the top selling products tend to sell out. We're sold out of stuff. And then a lot of the lower selling stuff, I have tea for years maybe. So I have to hope that comes back to me. We have to figure it out. Thank you so much. YW says, bought your 8T. Thank you so much. I'll give you a little Chonky Horse pour for you. Thank you so much for helping out and supporting the site. Again, I'm Jesse, I'm your tea guy. JesseChouse.com if you want to try the tea. Questions over here. Earl Grey Bandit said, first saw you on YouTube. That's how I got into going for tea. Welcome, welcome. Always glad to be getting people into here. I've met a surprising amount of people that got into tea because of this channel. It's pretty crazy. Always glad to be getting people into tea. I bought the 7 tea cake sampler a while back when it was in stock. That's a great one. I can't wait to go those back in stock. Those sold a lot better than we expected, which is a good thing. But we've been out of stock of them. Like I think we were in stock for like 5 weeks. We spent like half a year making them, and then we were in stock for 5 weeks, and they sold out. So when they come back, get into it. Les the Dog says, I got into TV because of you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I really appreciate it, guys. If you let us know what the low selling products are, I'll probably order some. I think a lot of it is just that the, like, we also have a challenge where, like, we have teas that are in our subscription. When they're in the subscription, they sell a lot. When the next subscription comes, they start selling very poorly. But a lot of that is just because, like, people are always looking for something new. Also, like, it's really weird because, like, as a tea guy, sometimes teas don't sell well, and I'm like, it's actually really good. Like, maybe even one of the best on the site. Like Dui Dui's 2017 Iwu Mountain Raw Pour is unbelievably good for that price. But, like, people don't buy a lot of it. I don't know why.
We have
You might be hearing a siren here. There's a fire truck passing me. I don't see the fire though. So, not sure what that is. Do 1 or 2 more questions. Questions over here. Might get them for the holidays for a good friend. He loves orange flavored teas. Yeah, if you have people who like the orange, get it for them. That being said, the tea oranges are made from like real oranges. So if you're used to stuff sprayed with orange scent or like artificial orange flavor, it doesn't taste like orange, like bam in the face. It's more subtle. It's really nice. I prefer it by a lot, but it will taste a little bit different from your expected. Questions over here. Fantastic work. Hussein Abdullah says, fantastic work. I wish we had anything close like this in Dubai. I'm seeing a Chinese tea pop up here. I'm sorry, I missed your thing. Try them, but the layout of the sampler boxes you sell is unrivaled. Thank you. We do ship occasionally to Dubai. In a future world, I'd love to have like some sort of like warehouse in the Middle East or something like that to be able to do that market. It's just not big enough right now, or like I'm not the right person with it. Maybe some other, Dubai creator has their own market going on, but for me, I just don't understand any of the import laws. I don't know enough, but I'm happy to send to Dubai. In fact, you might want to look into the EU warehouse if you're in Dubai, because it might be cheaper to ship to you from the EU, and also you won't have to deal with any American tariffs. So give that a try. Questions. Bobby Jung says, I'm moving to LA for work, but it feels so dangerous and dirty. Where's a good safe area in LA? Dirty, possibly. Like if you're, I don't know if you're from China, I see you have a Chinese name. Compared to the cities in China, the American cities are dirtier. They're not upkept as well. But in terms of danger, I would really say that when I moved to LA, I asked people, where are the safe areas, blah, blah, blah. And a fascinating thing happened where nobody was really able to tell me where the dangerous areas were. Everybody had the idea there were dangerous areas, but they were somewhere else, and they tended to be places that just like other people lived. So if you ask Group A, they say that Group B and Group C's places are dangerous. You ask Group B, they say Group A and Group C's places are dangerous. So what I learned from that is that people perceive danger where the people don't look like that. And while I'm sure that there are some dangerous areas here, overall, I think that, if you're nice to people, they're nice to you. I live in downtown LA, which is madness, but I haven't felt unsafe here. I think it's a little chaotic, and there are definitely it makes me miss China where there's no drugs and there's no guns or anything like that. But I've never been attacked on the street here. Again, I'm like 5'10" guy, so maybe I'm not the easiest target. But I think that if you give LA a shot and don't perceive it as super dangerous, and occasionally just accept hey, I had somebody steal a scooter of mine once. $300. It's not fun to lose $300. Not worth me feeling like I'm unsafe my entire life because I'm worried about losing $300. I would rather occasionally get a scooter stolen and feel like I generally live in a place that's safe which generally is true, than to live in the place that is not like that. So, and then even people saying just wait for the riots. It's funny because I've been, the first instance of the National Guard being called out to police individual states against the will of the governors was here in LA, in downtown LA. And there were helicopters running all over during the worst of the riots. Totally fine here. Like, the much of this is overblown, personally. Okay, yes, but what area of LA do you like? I've been in Singapore the last 5 years. I would say it depends. The first recommendation I always have is live close to your work. If you live in one area that's beautiful, but you have to fight through traffic an hour every day, you're not going to like it here no matter what. So find where you work. Do you know the area you're going to be working in or what neighborhood? Because I can try to recommend nearby. And then the other thing is just about budget, because there are a lot of like really beautiful places in LA that are just expensive to live in. And there's many different types of nice places to live in. There's nice city, there's nice suburb, there's nice mountain areas. Also you have to decide whether you want to take on like some beautiful places up in the mountains, but you might be in a wildfire risk. So that's up to you. Working in the Century City office buildings. Oh, okay. So Santa Monica is nice. I like Santa Monica. That whole area on the west side, Culver City, is very safe and maybe a little bit more. There's good food there. Maybe a little bit more less interesting culturally, but like good stuff in Culver City. Where else in that area? I mean, if I worked in anywhere near Santa Monica, I'd be trying to have a place with a view of the ocean myself, if you could pull it off. Westwood is nice. Brentwood is nice. There's a lot of nice places around there. And then even if you wanted to go further east, like the area where I'm probably going to be moving to the Los Feliz, Silver Lake, Echo Park area. A lot of great restaurants. All the creative people are out in that area. TV show writers, comedians, actors. A lot of funky coffee shops and pastry bars and restaurants and stuff. And that area would be east of where you're going. Also, the benefit in LA is if you go further east, it tends to get cheaper. And so you can look into Silver Lake, Echo Park, Los Feliz, which is spelled Los Feliz, F-E-L-I-Z. And all those places are safe, I'd say, generally. It's good. So, people asking, am I doing stand-up in LA? Yes, I do stand-up here. I was actually going to have a show today, but it got canceled. And I do still perform out here. You can follow my social accounts. I'll let you guys know if I'm doing shows. Most of the shows are in Chinese, though. So I do a lot of Chinese stand-up. I've been doing some English, but it's tough to get English stage time here because everybody in the whole city wants to do stand-up in English. And like, there's a lot of competition. So it's definitely a thing. Questions, cool. Maddie says, how safe is China for LGBT travelers to travel or live in for a few years? I'd say very safe. I think that there are big challenges for LGBTQ people in China who are Chinese, but a lot of it is very different from the sort of anti-LGBTQ energy you get in America. In America, the anti-LGBTQ people tend to be coming from a religious background. In China, it's just sort of like non-conformity in general is hard. Like the fact that, forget LGBTQ, if you just didn't want to have kids as a woman, society would be like, that's non-conformist. And so I think that they have very different standards, though, for themselves versus for foreigners. Like, I have good friends of mine, Jack and Eddie, who lived in China for many, many years. Jack is a British man. Eddie's Chinese. They're married. They had children through a surrogate program in Nepal. They raised their children there. Totally fine. Neighbors were happy. Cute kids. There's very different standards for the foreigners than for here. Now, if you go to China and you're like, I want to start an LGBT revolution, and you want to spur Chinese local queer people to do protests, that would be a problem. But if you are, if you're just going as a tourist, totally fine. Maybe be ready to try to explain why you're booking one bedroom instead of two. I don't know. But generally, I think that very safe. In general, traveling and vacationing in China is very safe, unless you're going there to make political trouble. You know, don't be the guy that's stealing the propaganda signs and posing with them, and making YouTube videos about how China's controlled, man. If you're not being an edgelord and you're there to honestly engage with the culture, like, very safe place to travel. Arguably safer than the United States. Although I don't have data on that. So my thinking just the most dangerous things in China, because you won't have any drugs, you won't have any guns. The most dangerous thing in China is probably getting hit by a car, because like the traffic's so crazy. Very, very cool. Adzicone Keller Bone says, how's the tea? Is it one of the ones from the new subscription box? It is. This is the Lapsang Souchong tea orange, which is going to be available in the EU and UK soon, and is already available in the United States and in Canada. And it was great. I had a great time. I think I got 7 or 8 steeps out of it. I could probably get a little bit more. I'm going to do one last water boil. I'll stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes. There we go. What time is it? It's noon. Gotta start making lunch at some point. Here we go. AAMD something says, hey Jesse, I'm super sensitive to caffeine, and I was wondering, oh no, your question got scrolled up, and I was wondering if I could get into Chinese tea without the caffeine making me sick. So if you want no caffeine at all, you have to go with an herbal or a flower tea. All like true tea leaf tea is going to have some amount of some amount of caffeine in it. If you are okay with some caffeine but you want less, the best thing I would recommend to do is to do 2 wash steeps when you make your tea. So if you pour the tea, dump that first steep, pour again, dump that second steep. Most of the caffeine comes out towards the beginning. If you wind up steeping it with doing 2 wash steeps, you're going to wash out a pretty significant amount of the caffeine. But this is not scientific. You're going to have to give it a try. You're going to have to see how your body responds. This is one of the reasons I don't even answer when they say, like, how much caffeine is in the tea. It's so difficult to know how much caffeine is in the tea. You would literally have to do an independent caffeine test on any batch of tea you have to know how much caffeine is in it. And at the end of knowing that exact milligram count, the tea, the caffeine and L-theanine and all of the compounds in the tea interact with your body differently from the caffeine from coffee. So you won't be able to compare a cup of coffee as this many milligrams, tea as that many milligrams. You won't be able to do a direct comparison. And everybody's body is different. We're all differently sized. If you're 200 pounds versus 120 pounds, it's going to be very different. So it's all of these things said together is that the only thing I can say for sure is that if you want no caffeine at all, you have to do an herbal or a flower tea. I have a couple of those on my site. The Hainanese yellow rosewood tea that I have is probably my favorite of the non-caffeinated ones. And I also have the new samples of the flower tea that I got that are going to be going on. It's a big goal of mine to have a much better, more robust herbal tea line by the end of this year. Hopefully coming in the summer and the fall, worst case by the winter. But like, I really feel like I need to work on that, and we are working on it. So it's going to be really, really cool. Awesome. Sounds good. So I'm going to figure this out. When does this EU subscription ship? If you go on the website and you search launch blog, go to the website. There's a search, what do they call them? A magnifying glass where you can search. What the hell? Damn it! I just got booted from TikTok Live for some reason. I don't know why. I really dislike the way TikTok is managed, man. And I expect it'll get worse now that the company's been sold, but whatever. They'd probably boot me if I said that online, but they already kicked me, so whatever. I don't care. What was I even talking about? Got distracted. Anyway, maybe there's a sign. in the universe. I've already been live streaming for 80 minutes, so this is enough. Great. Sounds good. I will, somebody says, love the book. Thank you so much. One last push for the book, because I spent 8 years writing the book. This was funnier in China. American comedians' cross-cultural journey. If you want to learn what's funny in China, you want to hear the story about how I apprenticed to a master comedian and learned all the stuff that you guys are seeing here. You can enjoy that and go and check it out. There's an audiobook if you want to listen to me read you the book. I read the entire audiobook myself, and I actually think I did a good job of it, so we'll see how it goes. One last question from Florida Captain says, bro never answers my questions. Sorry about that. Ask your question again, Florida, and I'll wait for that, and then we'll go there. Aaron Sky says, have both the book and the audio. Thank you so much. Big support. Appreciate it. Questions over here. Ice Jade set restock. We will be restocking the Ice Jade set. They're already on their way. A couple more weeks, I think. Trying to figure it out. Mitch asks, do I have a tea house in LA? Unfortunately, I don't have an in-person tea house. It's only online. But I do live like tea meetups and stuff here that are on our Discord. If anybody is from the Discord and can put the Discord link in the chat, invitation link, go for it. Questions. How would I explain Chinese tea to Southern sweet tea to Southerns? So like, I think you're asking what's the difference between the Chinese tea and the Southern sweet tea? I believe the Southern sweet tea is made from black tea, which the Chinese call red tea. I think I would start, if you wanted to make that style of tea with the Chinese tea, I would use a red tea, probably the Chimen red tea. Other than other than that, I mean, the Chinese don't add sugar to their tea, so I don't know exactly how the sweet tea is made or what makes it sweet. I assume you're adding in a lot of sugar. So if that's the way you do it, try making it without the sugar, and then if you really want to imitate the same flavor, I guess you could add the sugar, but it really doesn't, it doesn't need the sugar if you make the tea well and you have good quality tea. And even if you make the tea poorly, if it's good tea, you really don't need the sugar. I would say the red tea is what you want to look for. Go on the website, Jesse's Tea House Red Teas, and you can give it a try. Great, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for dealing with the spammers in the comments, because I really should get a mod, but I just like to kind of meet with everybody and have tea and not have to plan these things. And so, unfortunately, sometimes you get spammers in the comments, but it's important they know that they are shamed and they should be shamed. So, I will see you guys around, and I'll see you there. And yes, Aaron Sykes says, can't wait for the China trip. I'm going to China all of April and all of May. So you're going to see a lot of China content coming soon. It's going to be a lot of fun. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you around. Bye.